This is the 2015 Facilities Geospatial Technology Showcase. This 6-month webinar series is hosted by the Campus Facilities Technology Association and organized by the University of Kentucky. I'm Lauren Weaver, and thank all of our 61 attendees for joining us today. Today's webinar is being recorded. Both the recording and slides will be made available on the CFT website. The presentation is estimated to run about 45 minutes, with the remaining time dedicated for Q&A. Feel free to send any questions during the presentation using the questions dialog box or by raising your hand. Your question will be added to the queue and answered at the end of the presentation as time allows. I want to extend a special thanks to today's presenter, Michelle Ellington. Michelle serves as the GIS coordinator at the University of Kentucky Facilities Information Services. Today's presentation is about building a university enterprise GIS from the ground up. She will share how the University of Kentucky arranged the ingredients to deploy a successful Geospatial Systems department to connect the campus for planning and navigation upon a well-built foundation. Michelle, thank you for your presence with us today to share your experience.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Well, those are some great polls and some great feedback, and so I'll provide the same information. I have been at UK since 2006. I applied for and started in the first full-time GIS analyst position at UK. So I have been here from the beginning. Even more so, I actually worked for the contractor in town that did the pilot. So I was on the private sector side as well, and the source data goes back to my roots here in Lexington, Kentucky. Currently, in our organization, I have 5 full-time employees, 2 steps, and 2 students. This time last year, we had a total of 14. That was supplemented with more steps and students to support the projects at that time. So we do range, and we have a geospatial center with our students, and they work on some of the most important university projects we have. We have about 400 plus buildings on our campus. Our GSF is over 18 million, and our acreage is about 900. So with that, I'll begin our presentation because we have been in the business for a little while. We're very passionate about what we do, and I'm excited to share this information with you. So firstly, let's talk about us. I'll tell you a little bit about our department, our history, our awards and successes. Next, I'll go over our recommendations on the necessary components of building a successful university enterprise GIS. And I'll end with some points to consider as you go down this path. So the first part is our history, and we'll talk about solving the GIS puzzle. There are several items to a university facilities, and these are key components to building a GIS. You have the GIS files and technology, the CAD, the IT, analysis, and the information that ties it all together. And so back in 2004, when UK started on this pilot project, and I was working on the private side, these items kind of made sense. They were identified as different puzzle pieces of the whole. And over the next 5 years, these were integrated together to develop the core services. And in 2009, they were combined. And it was just this past July that I am very proud to say that we have become our own department called Facilities Information Services. And our area was created to provide a synergy of efficient exchange and analysis of facilities information. The geospatial area developed and maintained the university's critical data sets. We also maintain the official UK campus map. And most importantly, we have created a one-piece flow of facilities information from the planning and design phase of campus construction to archiving construction documents in the physical facilities archive, the vault downstairs. And this is to ensure the information is self-service, readily available to support facilities operations. We have two other areas within FIS. We have our programming side of the house as well as our IT field services. And both create combined synergy that support all facilities needs. I do want to go over some of our awards and recognitions because these are important building blocks to achieving our goals. It really started in 2010. We created a pretty cool application I'll show you a little bit later. And it won Best Web App at the State Kentucky GIS Conference. Quickly after, Esri took notice and awarded us with a Vision Award for developing an application. It was for facilities management. A year later, we received the International Special Achievement in GIS Award. Last year, I had the honor of being a plenary speaker at the Esri EDU, and a couple months ago was awarded Supervisor of the Year at UK Work Life. Now, we value all of our successes because we have worked very hard for each and every one of them. So that application of interest I mentioned to you started back in 2008 when there was a new hospital being constructed on campus. It was 16 floors, 1.2 million square foot facility, the largest construction project to date in Kentucky. And they needed a solution to help facilitate move-in of the hospital. And they were looking to go towards a more global solution, Archibus. And at the time, we kind of steered them in the direction of going into a GIS-centric solution. And we worked with a contractor to develop this Flex application where you could visualize the interior space. It connected to a variety of different data sources. This includes a drywall and pre-drywall 360 photos. The information was output to a room data sheet. These room data sheets provided a report of what was in the space of the assets, the equipment, technologies, furniture. And the room data sheets were posted throughout the rooms in the hospital, and they supported correct location of the assets. And we used this application successfully to move into 7 floors of the patient care facility. Now, back then, this was Flex. That was the choice. Today, we have migrated to a JavaScript in-house custom application. This is called BAM. It's the Building Analysis Map. And we use this to analyze many parts of our facilities and our campus. One way is by looking at the space utilization of assignable space on our campus. We can see where our campus is being utilized and in what capacity. We can quickly dive into the nitty-gritty of a building, look at the age, the VFA replacement value, and capital renewal needs. And we have just begun to, really use this in powerful ways. A couple years ago, we realized an opportunity to use this for the master plan and also for the new UK budget model. Since square footage is so important, and because we're investing it in so many ways to ensure the accuracy that our floor plans are the single source of truth for the university, why not use them for these big decisions? So as you can see in this example, that each department does have its own square footage. But there's also the unassignable space, the corridors, the mechanical rooms, and these need to be paid for in some way. When you're talking about a new budget model, where are these costs going to be covered? So this application does the calculations and takes that unassignable space, divides it by the department's net square footage of a building, and adds that to a sum gross square foot, and that is the department's budget as determined by the university system. In this application, you can dive into the interior space, because it's one thing to be able to look at a table, but to look at the space, obviously we all know this, is much more powerful. So in this example, it's the same information of department level, but by visualizing it across floors, and then also by usage of classroom type. Now, the beauty of the system is that it ties GIS to multiple information sources and systems. You don't have to jump around to different systems. It's all in one spot. This integrates with SAP, our plant asset system of record, as well as spreadsheets. We can just join them in here because GIS does that powerful thing of connecting things together. Now, one thing that all of us probably share in common is that we have silos on our campus. And we've heard about silos through the previous presentation with Scott U Chicago, and I think that's going to be a very common thread through all of our presentations. And what we've realized is that the silos systems, they're not bad. They actually have a huge value. They allow these departments to manage their information in useful ways that support their needs. That sometimes don't come in these out-of-box enterprise solutions. So we don't want to get rid of these systems. We just want to get rid of the silos. And that's our concept, is that we're silo smashing with GIS. So we use GIS to make a variety of map products that support facilities and our university community. Our maps are used for analysis, wayfinding, to support daily operations and campus planning, as well as for efficient navigation for our campus community. So the question is, how did we get from a static CAD file-based system, right? I mean, I can show you all these pretty slides all day, but you want to know, how did we get there? I mean, these are hard struggles that we are all trying to find solutions for. So how do we get from this base map, this CAD static base map, and this is our UK visitor map in 2008. It was not to scale, and it was extremely hard, if not impossible, to maintain. So how did we get from these products to an enterprise GIS with a rich file library and advanced functionality that is viewable on multiple technologies? And that is what I'm going to share with you today. So the first phase is to lay your foundation. So the first thing you have to do if you want to follow this path is to convert your CAD base map to GIS. You need to migrate all of your existing products over. This takes time. It's very costly, but you have to do it. You have to also invest in reliable source data, imagery, and photogrammetry. These are high-dollar expenses, and they're sometimes hard to justify, but this is our recommendation for best practice. So in converting over to the campus space map, this is ours from 2008. And then basically we invested in our aerial photography to sub out some photogrammetry, the accurate building footprints and so forth of our campus, and we converted that over to GIS. Now, we have this need, though, to offer this perspective of the campus so that it serves a useful, view for our campus community. And we call these our 2.5D buildings. So we kind of just did a hybrid, and we brought these CAD buildings into GIS, and we maintain these in both a 0-degree and a 90-degree rotation. Now, these 2.5 buildings, they're not accurate, and they're not measurable, but they do show an extremely useful perspective of the campus, and we really want to preserve that. Plus, it's really easy to do analysis with them because they live on top of an underlying accurate base map, so it can be maintained in the enterprise system. Something to, again, hone in on is that we're able to develop such detailed data sets because we invest in accurate source data. This is 1-foot imagery. I think we've all pretty much grown accustomed to seeing this type of imagery readily available. This is 1-inch imagery. You can capture manholes and light poles at your desk with this quality and high-resolution imagery. We recently did a survey of our decals on campus. We have decals that say where there are shared use paths and our cat's paw, which designates the safest walking route on campus. And we could see those from our imagery. This is aerial photography, oblique imagery. This is 1 1/4 resolution. You can see the gas price on the sign. And because it's oblique, you can also measure and get your height. Now, I will say that we don't buy 1-inch imagery. We purchase 3-inch imagery. The costs and the systems are not even just the price cost, but it's very costly on the system to render 1-inch. These are very large files. But the most important thing is that we collaborate with vendors. We make partners with them. And as a result, they're constantly sending us samples and example imagery like these. And those relationships help us plan the future direction of our investments. Phase 2, build a solid structure. The key points in this phase is, you have to create one map. You can't have copies and copies of maps out there. You want everyone to be going to one source. You need to train your entire university community to know where you are, where you live, and that they want to come to you because they will be getting the best and most accurate information. You must integrate with IT. There's no other way, in my opinion. GIS, it requires a huge amount of IT support. And as well as main campus website integration. How are you supposed to, push out all this great information if people who are going to the main campus website can't see you? So at a university, there's so many different areas that can benefit from GIS and from building a university GIS. And the way we see this is that they all fall under the UGIS umbrella. We can all see our information through a graphical interface, but we need to connect. And the way that we connect is by viewing UGIS as a coat rack. And if everybody can hook to it and everybody can come on board just by joining their information, then we can all render together and view our information together in applications like our BAM website. And just one single interface. And the goal of one map, it's very attainable. And the way that we chose to go about this was to develop our enterprise database that serves out all of our layers of information that all of our map products and web applications pull down from. And in doing so, we can ensure current, accurate, campus-wide information. We publish our interactive map and printable map products through the UK homepage. These are the two links that we maintain, the interactive campus maps and the campus printable maps. We publish printable maps from this page, and very important to note is that we do it with layered PDF functionality. And the reason why we do this is because we want our users to be self-sufficient. They can turn off layers and dumb down this to an image where they can mock up and they can use it for their own reports and their own needs. And we do this because we want them to keep coming back. We want them to always download the current map and not be restricted by having to contact us with a work order to get a map from us. And we also achieve this by adding some similar functionality, much more advanced, through the interactive campus map. If you click on a building and click on this link, what happens is you get a pop-up where you can do several things. You can create your own custom map. You can grab that iframe link and embed it in your website. Or you can also grab a URL and send it to somebody, and the map shows just that building. The URL may be customized. And in this example, it's showing Building 32, and it's showing a base map that is a perspective. It's those 2.5D buildings. But you can customize this. You can change it from Building 32 to add Building 25 on it. So now you have 2 buildings that you're showing. Or you can change the selection color by adding a tag, as well as the base map showing over aerial photography. Our newest tool is to build your own custom map, and you can specify the different sizes and the styles and the highlight color and whether you want to do sidewalk routing, and then you can output it to code that now you can embed in your website. And we're offering all these tools out to our community so that we can grow the data, grow the message, facilitate all needs on campus through current, accurate, campus-wide information. That's the theme that I want to really embed into you, is that you have to give this stuff away. You have to grow it. Everyone wants it, but you have to make it easy for them to get. So phase 3, equipping for the long term. So now that you have your foundation built, and you have your walls and structure built, you need to equip it for the long term. And what this means is that you want to invest in the best sustainable solutions. And we believe that standardization, lean thinking, and enterprise system integration are these solutions. So standardization is a lofty one, and it is something that FIS has made part of our DNA. Everything we do is standardized. This is our enterprise database diagram, and we developed this in a nomenclature that supports not just our immediate needs of just mapping the Lexington campus, but also our long-term needs of mapping all UK information across Kentucky. We've developed a version tree that supports all levels of data maintenance, both existing and future, as well as an intelligent user level group structure that ensures productive and secure editing environments. We've standardized our layer files. This simplifies map development immensely. It's also a great communication tool with our customers so they can help find what kind of custom product they want. As a project manager, we can choose the layers that a map needs to adhere to, and it's very easy for anyone in our department to quickly get going and make the map just by using a quick template. Our map template library has grown into be a very rich library. We've created a naming convention that supports this quick and easy map creation, whether it's a landscape or a portrait map, whether it's 8.5 by 11 or 24 by 36, or if the collar is on the top or on the bottom, or if it's floating, or if the map is for planning purposes versus a decorative, fancy map. We've just kind of created this naming standard so that we can quickly see where they are and what they are and what they support, and just grab it and go. I think previously a lot of folks would just grab an old MXD, an old project from a similar map, and we've just modified that to be useful across any PC in our department. And we've done that by using the ArcGIS template structure. So we've loaded our own templates. So when opening up a new map document, you can view all the available 11 by 17 maps, or the 24 by 36, or 8.5 by 11, and also map books. Map books are very time-consuming, and so to quickly just grab a template and go, it saves a huge amount of time. And then our printable maps. Every year doing those map updates, it takes time to find them and to figure out what needs to be done. And what if the map template changed over the year? then we have to, put that into last year's map, and we don't have to do that anymore. We have a one-piece flow that makes sure that our templates are staying accurate and current to the best practices of the department. And what's great about this is that regardless of who's making the map, it can be a GIS analyst, full-time employee, or a student intern, it always looks like the same quality is coming out of our department. And as we've grown over the years to grow outside of just maps, we're doing brochures more and more. We also have standardized our brochure template library, and this makes development of these just much more, easy overall. I think presentations also kind of drain a lot of us over time, so we've started developing a presentation template library of where that slide is. Where's that silo smashing slide I used to have, right? So we're throwing the fun slides and the nice templates that we've worked hard on designing into a standardized library. Another way of standardizing is with report generation. I think that it's safe to say that a lot of folks out there doing GIS, we have a problem finding what our sources are. So if we have a map open, and is our feature class going to the right data source? Is it going to the enterprise data source? Is it going to the project level database? And that's hard to see. Also, what's hard to see is, what labels are consistent? Are the outlines consistent in weight? Or what about the halo colors and the percent of transparency? There's so many different things that it takes so long to dig down into these, so we develop custom tools. If we have to do something more than a couple of times, we standardize it. And so in this example, we created a very robust map layer report that saves a huge amount of time for our developers to quickly identify possible problems in our products, as well as reporting on campus metrics, always wanting to know what the acreage is, as well as the mileage of UK-owned versus non-UK-owned roads. So after being asked this every year for a couple of years, we thought, you know what, we just need a tool. So we created a tool for it. Now, one of the biggest growth spurts was developing a map season system. It was a couple of years ago, and I started realizing that come springtime through end of summer, really through snow removal, it was like we had this spike, and we just were, we were dying trying to keep up with all these map requests, and then we had downtime. Then came Christmas in January and February, and I noticed that we had a season. It was the map season. And not only map season, but it's also like, every year we would go out and do our sidewalk survey, or, just these annual spring cleaning, just these things that became seasonal. Now, with our map requests, every time we, were hit every season, we were overloaded. We were working very hard, too hard. And so we wanted to level out our workload. And so by, writing down our customers, documenting what our map season system was, we started to see our trends. And what we ended up doing is using this system to help us help the customer. So we would send out notifications to our customer, 6 weeks before their project, and say, hey, it's time again for that. Can you start thinking about what changes you want? And we would create these poll systems. So we were polling the information from our customers instead of them pushing it on us. And as a result, we're able to level out our workload. We're able to take on more jobs and more responsibilities and more projects during one of our highest map production months of the year. And this is what that system does. Right now, it's in a spreadsheet. There are tools where it generates emails. It's a lot of macros and intelligence in this spreadsheet. And we follow the best practice that we create a system manually. And once we figure out what that is manually, only then do we start using technology to make it a smarter system. Because you can't know what IT system you need until you know what are every step in the process you're trying to, achieve a successful outcome for. So a great example of that is, this is my first work order request system when I first started here. It's very hard to keep track of what people were working on, and emails, they just don't work. So I bought a couple of magnets, and I would literally write the name of the map on a magnet and stick it on someone's desk. So that person could see that they had several projects they were working on. And when they were done with that map, they could put it on my desk. And I'd have come into my office, and I'd see 3 magnets on my drawer, and I would know that they were waiting on me. Well, this kind of fell apart after a while because my knee would hit it, and they would take off the dry erase marker. But it was the first step. And then that launched a piece of paper. And this identified all the components to a work request. We started using those layer file libraries and the structure of the map sizes and creating a schedule. But then after a couple of years of working on this, we realized that it takes a lot of time to handwrite these, and we really wanted something a little more automated. So we went to an interactive PDF. And this lasted for a while, and it was great. But then we wanted more. We always want more. We wanted this to be in a database. We wanted to be able to do metrics on it. And so as we started growing, as of July, now we are in ServiceNow, a ticket system. And so this is what the ticket of a work request looks like. And the beauty in this is that we've customized ServiceNow so that all of our employees have time cards, and they create these billing codes of what work they're working on. So now we can start seeing all the trends and patterns in our department of who's working on what, and we can set employment goals, and we can help create more defined goals of our department based on what our staff is working on. We can also use this now to track our customers. Which employees are supporting what customers, and also who are our biggest customers. And we can analyze this information now. But what's important is that we couldn't get to ServiceNow overnight. We had to start with that magnet, and we had to see, the magnet failed, okay? And so we would throw that away. And these are called small cycles of change. If you want to start something, you try it, and you change it, and you keep trying, and it might fail and fail and fail, but you keep doing these small cycles of change until something sticks. Now, a lot of these principles that I'm talking about, I know I hear a lot that they're kind of unattainable or unrealistic, and I can't take the time to standardize, and I can't take the time to document. But our recommendation is that you can, and you just need to start. And we're not making this up. We're actually following the Toyota way. And these are the 14 lean principles. Now, I won't read all of these principles, but I do want to read the first one because it's extremely important. And that is that you need to base your management decisions on a long-term philosophy, even at the expense of short-term financial goals. Number one, you have to create a culture that believes in this. I was speaking on the phone with a colleague recently, and he said, "Oh, it's so great, all the documentation you do." And I realized that, there was a time when I would say to my employees, "Oh, you know what? This is great, but did you document it?" And today, they look at me and they say, "I already did." The culture that we've established here is one that knows no other way. And it didn't start this way. It's been years and years and years of growing. So I just really encourage everyone to start now and to make these small cycles of change and make them your reality. So phase 4 in this is to now beautify and grow. If you look at this garden, it used to be a whole green space, just grass. And this is my garden. And when I moved into this house, I saw gardens, and I thought, oh, I want one. But I couldn't just go out and buy it. This took 14 years to make. And that's what we're doing now with our department, is we're growing this and polishing it and beautifying it over time. And the way that we're doing this is by collaborating with others, collaborating with you, and by integrating everything together, integrating our passions and our interests together, and seeking opportunities. I mean, that hospital project that I showed, that was a huge behemoth of a project that came in my door. All of a sudden, I hear, folks are wanting to go with Archibus, the world's leader in facilities technology solutions, and all of a sudden, we're saying, no, we can do it for you with GIS and do something that's never been done before. In 2008, looking at interior space. But we saw it as an opportunity, and you have to grab those when they come. And you have to grow your pocket of greatness. This is another gem, a book called Good to Great. And the concept is you need to create a pocket of greatness within an organization. And it's regardless of the level of success of the organization as a whole. You might feel that you're in a place and a lot of opposition against you, but you have to just throw that all away, and you have to focus, and you have to keep working on your own greatness, and eventually it will grow and grow and grow, and people will want to come in, and they'll want to work for you, and they will seek you out, but you have to grow that pocket. Now, as far as collaborating and integrating goes, we see GIS Day as a great opportunity for this. Back in 2006, we had a campus-wide event where 11 UK areas came on board to showcase their GIS efforts. There was middle schools there and local and national vendors. It was a big old party. Everybody had a great time, and wonderful relationships made. Then in 2011, our vice president and champion, Mr. Bob Wiseman, he said, how about a regional event? Why don't you put GIS Day on the map for the region? So a couple months later, we held one-day event of over 100 sessions in one day. It was huge. We had 349 registered from 10 states. The mayor was there for a GIS Day proclamation, and many local and national vendors. And then there's this Facilities Geospatial Tech Showcase. This was an opportunity. After spending the past year looking at all these great presentations from folks all around, what we're doing right now, what all of us are trying to be successful at, is busting out at the seams today. It is a different landscape in our industry today than it was just 1 year ago. And so after talking and speaking with CFTA and then saying, we have this GoToMeeting software and we have all these great folks, all we did was a little connections, and we created this webinar series to bring us all closer together so that we can grow together. And then there's good to great. I love this quote. The enemy of great is good, because good is good enough. And I think that holds true with a lot of things. Well, it's good enough. I'll just be done with it. But we don't want to settle for good. We want to settle for great. That's our goal. So lastly, when speaking about considerations, when you're taking your puzzle pieces and putting them together, I want to offer a couple of suggestions. What is your organizational structure? I hear from a lot of folks that it's really not ideal and that they want to make change, but it's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's very hard. Every choice we've made has been hard. Every new position that we've had to establish and create and get approved has been hard. But you have to do it. And nothing of value in this journey is going to come easy. So don't settle for easy. Do you have a champion? If you don't have a champion but you think you know of a possible one, hook onto them. Show them what you're doing. Sell them on the vision and have them fight for you. Resources. When we wanted to do all these events on campus, we don't have a budget for this kind of stuff. How do we afford this? So we look at our resources on campus, and we see that we have labs and classrooms, and so we use them. They're out there for you. The benefits of working for a university. And what about fixing processes? Are you fixing processes, or are you just quickly getting the job done, and then you come back again and you go through the process and it's still broken? You have to fix the process and take the time to do that. And mentoring your future leaders. They're all around us. And it takes time. You have to grow people. You have to build your future leaders. And then lastly, have fun. Take time to do achievement activities like this one, where we created this to symbolize our 10 years as a department. Very important. And then these cakes, they represent our biggest project or achievement of the year. And we have a lot of fun making them, great team building. And the projects or achievements range from, completing our enterprise database design or building our 3D campus. We take the time to reflect, to Hansei, because self-reflection is important. Self-reflection is lean principle number 14, and a very important step to becoming a learning organization. Now, I hope that some of this information has been helpful to anyone out there who is working to achieve, a similar goal. So please do not hesitate to reach out to contact me with any additional questions. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Michelle. That was very enlightening. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. And with the 76 attendees now joining us today, it's really great to see how strategic planning and collaboration have developed systems as innovative as the one you mentioned to move into the medical facilities, down to what so many of us do in creating mapping products efficiently and quickly that are high quality. At this time, I'd like to move to the Q&A portion of this webinar. If you have any questions you've not yet submitted, feel free to send using the questions dialog box or raise your hand, and those will be added to the queue. I'd like to begin with a question from Chris Brochert. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. He asked, how many people are maintaining your GIS and CAD information?
So as far as maintaining it, well, we have our enterprise database administrator. He's our GIS analyst, and he's pretty much the base map guy. And then we have some miscellaneous features like the construction layer that students maintain. They go out once a week and do construction surveys. They also do the sidewalk updates every year. It's probably safe to say one full-time employee and then students to supplement.
Okay. I have a question from William Gore. Do you use GIS for space utilization needs, or do you use a different space management system?
Currently, we use GIS.
Okay. And another one from William is, how large is your IT, and how do their functions and services support your department?
IT is, let's see, so we have an IT manager, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 employees, 4 of which are full-time, 1 temp, 1 student, I believe. And then we have a programmer. We have 1 programmer, and then our director, who is a very excellent IT programmer and administrator on all capacities, so he supports as needed. And we are all very closely knit. I mean, my director is stone throwing distance from me, programmers next door, IT's around the corner. They support us, we support them, and we're just completely integrated in every way.
Okay. We have similar questions from Shelby Egan and Brian Brown. Earlier you showed the BAM floor plan categorization of room usage, but I think this question really applies to so many systems, with this one included. And how do you maintain all of this information and keep up with the occupants of buildings, renovations, space usage, and all of these other components that are associated with buildings on campus?
Oh, that's a great question. That's my fun zone. Well, We completed a space revitalization project this past summer. It was about 4 years worth, and we audited and inventoried all of our interior space. We updated all of our floor plans, standardized them in CAD, standardized them in GIS. In some cases, the floor plans were so bad that we outsourced it to laser measuring vendors that provided the CAD floor plans in our key drawing standard. I think that was like 56 buildings. And so we basically have spent a huge amount of investment to get all of our information current and accurate. We're not going to lose that investment. And so at this current time, we have a working relationship with our planning design group. Just as of like a month or two ago, we put it all in writing, set it all in stone, and so at this point, we are notified of all renovations during the time of design, and we handle the room numbering, the official room numbering, so that goes through our department now, and then when we get a work request for that, we get a work order also, and so we add it to our ticket system. And so we update the floor plan into the plan phase, and if I guess you can't see it, but we serve out all of our floor plans on our website, but you have to have a UK IP address to see it. And if you go to any of these renovations in progress, you'll see a black dashed line around it, and it says renovation in progress, so you can look at the planned renovation. And then at the end of the project, when we get the record drawings, we update again the floor plan to what's approved, and we get their project manager to sign off on it. And we also pull that information at that point to the facilities library, the archive, when it's in-house. When it's a contractor, sometimes we don't get the information, 6, 9 months later, a year sometimes. And so we are changing that to receive the information when they become record drawings, and so we can update our systems sooner. We're also working on doing the same workflow for our capital projects group, for our shops downstairs, for outside A&E and CM firms, and we are just making sure that all communication is open to ensure the accuracy and currentness of our critical data sets.
Great. Okay, moving on from that to a different question is one from Sean Herrick, and he's curious about utilities. Do you also use GIS to maintain your campus utilities inside and outside of buildings? And if so, what utility systems are you responsible for, if you're able to share that?
Yes, we are responsible for all the utility data sets on campus, gas, high pressure steam, storm sewer, you name it. We are in contract right now to create updated CAD utilities of our campus, and we are pursuing outside sources for doing GIS conversion and then developing that full system utility solution. We have tried to do the utility side in previous years. I mean, I actually have all of them in web maps, and I have tons of map templates and so forth. But as everyone knows, it's really hard to keep that stuff current. And so we're working on changing that. And the way that we're working on changing that is it's going to be kind of the same workflow as floor plans. We're going to make sure that we are part of all of campus construction, all of the design phases. We're going to update the utilities for that plan view. And then once we receive those final construction documents, that we are able to incorporate that into the final drawings. Now, one way that discussion is open for this is that by using SAP, the project managers cannot close any of their work orders for their projects until I sign off of it, like a fire marshal. I have to approve it for code. I have to approve it that the facilities drawings were updated. And only once I approve it can they close their work order. So by doing that, we're inserting that value into the process.
Okay. Okay. That sounds like an important QC to have added in there. Samuel Lingerman has a question about room numbers. Do you have any inconsistencies found between the room numbers in a floor plan as compared to the signage that physical plant is responsible for? And if so, how do you resolve those?
Oh, sure. Hey, Sam. Good to see you out there. I think that everybody's got those. You know, we're getting better during our audit 4 years ago, we identified when the room IDs on the signage didn't match the actual room ID. Our department is also responsible for putting up those bar tags and for ordering the signage. And so we have organized our department to be a support area to ensure 100% accuracy across all systems. Are we there yet? No. But our model is that we fix things at the ground level. We keep solidifying our foundational layers so that we can add on top of it. And we do fix the processes, and we get everybody involved, and we create a one-piece flow. So right now, our goal is to incorporate all of our floor plans. We're geo-referencing them all and everything. I won't go too much into detail about that. But we're doing a big project right now that's going to be done in the summer. And after that, I'm pretty sure we're going to take on all of the inconsistencies of signage as well.
Okay. We have quite a variety of questions here. The next question is from Parvane Kosari, and he's curious about 3D software. What software, if any, do you use for 3D modeling of your campus?
You know, that's a good question. I am kind of disappointed with the whole 3D thing, I have to say. We have invested a lot in, we had our whole campus done using PLS Lightworks. They partnered with pictometry, and so with our oblique imagery, we could just get a 3D file. It's great. The problem is that they come in as like little pieces. As a university, we like to look at a whole, like a whole building as one model. So there's some limitations with that. They are also proprietary, and so if we put them out into KMLs, they don't work the same way. They use these network connections, and it's very limiting. So most of our use with the 3D stuff has been limited to desktop use, and our goal is enterprise use. And so we are continuing to invest in the 3D solutions for enterprise. I am very hopeful of BIM. I know that it is the future. I don't think it's necessarily the key component to this. It's going to join our GIS, but it's not going to be the primary for us. But we are going to be migrating our CAD plans over to Revit, hopefully within the next 5 years. But the 3D component is new territory. I've seen some great stuff with City Engine. I'm kind of keeping my eye on the target. I'm collaborating with folks like U Chicago and folks who are really making more of an investment there in Southern California, because everybody's doing something and exploring that new territory. 3D, it's just not there yet for me.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Let's see. There are a few questions from Samuel Lingerman and Mary Jo Brown about integrating systems. So are you able to integrate BAM and GIS with, for example, maintenance and work orders and document management systems?
I mean, the answer is yes. Have we done it right now? Absolutely not. Not to the fullest capacity, but we are very close. We've had the benefit of being at the early stages. In SAP, there's this thing called the functional location. I know a lot of universities have a similar ID, but it basically concatenates several strings together. So, for example, my office, which is 212B1 in the Peterson Service Building, the SAP functional location is LX-005-02-0212B1. And that's my unique ID. And you can tag assets to it. You can tag people to it. You can tag finishes to it. You can tag work orders to it. You can tag air handling units to it. You can tag anything to it. And my department is responsible for issuing those SAP functional locations. So by doing that and making sure that we were that area, we are now being able to grow other areas and ensure that they're tagging onto it by keeping those codes. That is the official enterprise ERP for UK.
Okay. Thank you. We have a question from Ben Camp. Do you use analytics to help determine your map product offerings? And what are the most popular requests you get, and perhaps the most critical as well?
You know, that's an interesting question. I feel like we are so much in our infancy. We don't do much with geoprocessing yet. A lot of our maps are for quick analysis. You know, we do the symbology to answer the questions or to provide a view so that the users can answer the questions. But we really have not grown yet. We're doing something huge, and we're doing these big passes of information gathering. So at this point, the analytics are still just, they're happening right now as we speak. So our primary customers are really for maps, for housing maps, parking and transportation maps, for we started to turn the curve now with our new functionality in our interactive web map. We're starting to integrate with, show me nearest parking from my building and show me a sidewalk route. So if the routing takes 12 minutes to go from building A to building B, well now main campus IT is looking at this and it's like, wow, what about with student success factors? What about with how successful will a student be in getting to a class that's 12-minute walking distance away when it's a 10-minute break in between classes? So only now are we able to really use our data into these powerful ways. So I'm very excited to see where we go with that.
Great. I'm going to squeeze one more question in before we wrap everything up. And this one is from Samuel Lingerman as well. And I think he has a really great question. How can your model for developing be translated to those groups that don't necessarily have the staff or fiscal resources that a place like UK might have, but they do have the support from management? So there's the desire, but not the funds or the resources in that way.
I don't think that's a clear question. We didn't have the resources. We started there too. But we had a champion. So you have to partner with a champion. You have to get someone to support you. You have to work a lot of late nights. You have to create a lot of example products that you're giving away for free, and you're trying to get people on board. You have to just chisel away at it so slowly but thoughtfully, and as soon as you get an opportunity or a win, you grab onto it and you show that win to somebody else, and you try to get them to buy in. And any of your good customers, you just you keep trying to show them more products. Parking and transportation, they were a great customer for us over the years. There's no good answer, Sam. All I can say is we did not start with the resources per se. We have our own budget now, but it was slow going.
Okay. With that, I'd like to end this presentation. So thank you to all of our attendees joining us today. You can access the recording and slides from the CFTA website following this webinar. If we weren't able to answer your question today or you have additional questions, please feel free to contact Michelle. And Michelle, thank you again for being here and providing such thorough answers. The next webinar in the Geotech Showcase is scheduled for 1 p.m. on February 3rd. Scott Stocking is returning from the University of Chicago and will be joining us to present Immersed 3D Visualization of the University of Chicago campus. For more information on future webinars in this series and more, visit the CFTA website at www.cfta.org.